We know we have a problem. Air quality is all of our problem. For people to assume that they are going to have murky days, days that they can't see the mountains, days that they can't see the lake, days that they can't see across their street, and not know the effects on their own bodies, that to me is alarming. We were approached by the EPA to engage with a Nearport community project. We wanted to work with the community to gather real stories about what is it like to live in a serious non-attainment, heavily affected community with poor air quality.
I'm the project manager for our Nearport Communities project. My hope is to see equitable and sustainable development, because we see over and over again, West Side residents, they're getting the brunt of the impacts. With the airport, with the refineries, the development of the Utah Inland Port is just one more thing that's being added on. So there's a few impacts that can happen through this development, like more traffic in the area, worse air quality. And I think that's why I really wanted to kind of highlight the climate of hope, because it's just reminding people actions are being made. Our actions do matter. Even if it's just a conversation we're having, it can have an impact.
My name is Lynn Zumo. I work here at the museum. I'm the curator of learning sciences. So I've been part of the development process of A Climate of Hope, the exhibit that is right outside the door here. And I hope it leaves you feeling a little bit inspired that this amazing future is attainable.
You know, it was like an emotional roller coaster going through the exhibit. You have this fear, and then you also go to the next section where people are actually doing something about this, and it makes your hope rise.
It definitely made me really sad because I have a lot of older people in my life and they're affected a lot by climate change.
Information like 100-degree days in Tooele, that's like astonishing. And it's sad that we don't know that information. And a lot of us who move in who aren't native Utahns don't know that.
This exhibit brings a lot of hope and joy.
Disappointment, sadness. I just feel like we could be doing more.
It kind of made me a bit more hopeful.
There was definitely emotion that I didn't expect to see there.
It really does educate me and inspire me to be better.
I grew up on Salt Lake City's west side, so I've lived there for about 50 years. I would go out to recess, and I remember in the winter that I couldn't see the sky, could not see a blue sky.
I remember in preschool how we wouldn't be able to go outside for recess.
There will be some times where I would see no sunlight at all, and I would just see clouds.
I remember I grew up in Ogden, and I remember as a little kid, super foggy days.
When it gets really gross and you look down the road and it's just like, you know, it gets foggy and it's not a normal fog, it's a brown fog.
Being outside when the air quality is super bad, it's not fun because my allergies will skyrocket. I'll go from like a 2 to like a 7 in probably 5 minutes.
I mean, a lot of times it's like just walking outside, I'm like, I don't think anyone's barbecuing right now, but it kind of smells like that.
Like if I'm going to my sport, which is softball, which is very outside oriented, most of the time practice is canceled or a game is canceled.
I ride horses. It makes it really hard for me to go outside and do that. It's just not fun.
What I notice is after it's rained or snowed, and I notice that the sky is clear, then I notice the difference. You get used to living with it.
You learn to adapt with it, I believe, you know, and maybe there could be more concern on my end.
There is a little bit of indifference for me because I grew up in this neighborhood. I've lived in urban settings most of my life, and so the indifference is kind of I think a coping mechanism of this is just how things are.
When I was like a really young child, I had asthma.
I have developed allergies. I never had allergies before that.
I know my brothers had some respiratory issues, and whenever they would go out, they'd have to bring an inhaler. But then as soon as they took a break from living in the city, they went away.
My oldest son has really bad asthma, and he developed that as a baby. So bad that we were in the emergency room many times, and he's had to move out of the state.
I've had 2 neighbors, good friends, that have had to move out of Salt Lake City. One of them, his doctor said, if you don't want to be on oxygen, you gotta go somewhere with cleaner air.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be easier. I think it's just going to get worse unless we start to do more about it. Participating on like the film crew working for this project, it's been really interesting hearing everyone's perspective on these issues.
On the west side, we're kind of locked in, and there's gravel mines and refineries, and we've got the port coming. I kind of feel like we're not really part of the equation when they're making those decisions.
If it's a bad air day, I won't hop on my bike and ride my bike to school, which is only 2 miles away. And that's counter to the advice that officials give us, drive less. Well, I drive to work because I don't want to be breathing that in, that fine particulate pollution.
Right now, if I want to take public transportation to work, I work up in Sugar House. It's a good hour and a half. I want to see my family, so putting that extra time into an already long work day is hard. I guess I should sacrifice for air.
I know that we have to be pragmatic, so I get that. But I feel like it's often used to paralyze dreaming and imagining a completely different reality that's possible. And for me, I'd like to see a complete social transformation from the legal and policy side of things to the cultural things, the everyday life, the way we think about the environment we live in, our connections to place. And I think it has to be collective. I do get frustrated sometimes when I see like individualistic approaches to what you as an individual can do. That does make me feel helpless, but when I think about what we could collectively do as a society, it'd be nice to see, for example, public transportation that was so convenient and so efficient and publicly available that we didn't want to drive.
My name is Angela Romero, and I am the minority leader of the House Democrats. The inland port has been top of mind for me and my constituents ever since the concept was brought before us at the state of Utah. We as representatives of the West Side have seen the prison come to our neighborhoods when we said we didn't want it, and we've spent billions of dollars on that. We've seen homeless shelters after Operation Rio Grande come into our neighborhood. We look at many of the communities that I represent that live by freeways or they live by factories, and the air they're breathing is dirty. And so our constituents felt like they were disposable. They felt like nobody cared about them, and they really wanted elected officials to stand up for them, and that's what we did, and that's what we continue to do when it comes to the inland port.
When we heard that the inland port was really going to happen, we leaned in. And we leaned in with excitement, with technology and experience with transportation, knowing that we could collectively transform that area that has been a boondoggle of transportation and emissions to change that trajectory, that we could elevate that and infuse that with all of our most advanced technologies to make it the most innovative inland port in the world. It's our right and it's our legacy to have clean air.